Hey everybody, it's Lori. I am here to share another journal with you, and this one is a butterflies and bees theme, and it's kind of a vintage style here. It is a hardcover, and it is approximately 6 by 8, or the pages are about 6 by 8 on the inside, and the cover is just a little bit bigger than that. It has about a 2-inch spine, and it has 5 signatures, and it has 120 pages front and back. So I'm gonna probably not do a lot of jibber jabbering in this video, because otherwise it's gonna be about another 20-minute video. So I'm just gonna get started here on what I have on the cover. Just have some stained lace and a piece of fabric here that I did some stamping on and some stitching, and another piece of fabric here that I did some stitching on, some cheesecloth, a little piece of a doily tucked in there underneath a metal butterfly that I colored or painted a couple of different colors of acrylic paint, some yellow rosette trim here, some paper flowers and a fabric flower, and a little paper leaf stuck underneath all of that, and then another little doily here, and a butterfly charm or bee charm on the top of that. And so the cover is fabric bound, so it's wrapped in fabric. And then I've also gone around it with some distress ink and just kind of stained it up a little bit so it looked kind of rough and old and dirty. I've just left the back of it plain. And I've got some metal book corners on the front and the back covers. And then I also have a piece of, I just ripped off a piece of fabric and stained it up with some tea stain distress inks and did some stitching on it so it's really nice and frayed. And then I fed it inside the book here, behind the spine piece, or between the spine piece and where I have the signatures sewn in, what I have the signatures sewn into. And then I just tied it in a knot up at the top here, and then I hung some dangles from it. I've just got a little, I think this is maybe a Tim Holtz safety pin here, and I have a bead dangling on that. And then the 2 pieces of fabric here, I made some loops for the beads and then hung them on a big jump ring, and then tied them up, or stuck it above the knot here, so they don't want to slide off. And this one is a butterfly bead, and this one is a big bumblebee charm. Okay, so now for the binding, I did the hidden stitch binding. So the signatures are sewn in. They're just sewn into a separate spine piece that is not glued down to the actual wrapper of the book. And I think I've probably mentioned before in my other videos that I like to do that because it gives the book a little bit more flexibility with the pages. They're not as stiff when you want to flip them, so they're not as quick to close up on you. So they're a little bit easier to work inside of if you want to write. So I have the 5 signatures sewn into that spine piece, which is also a piece that is wrapped in fabric and then kind of stitched along the edges and then glued down on the inside front cover and the inside back cover. And then I have just put down some paper on top of that to make a pocket on both of them. So in the front pocket, I just have this big shipping tag that I've done some Mod Podging on of a napkin. Did some trim that I sewed on there, some sari silk ribbon here, and it's nice and stained up on the back. That just slips in there. And this book is really not overly embellished. I mean, there's pretty stuff in it and some stamping and everything, but I didn't go crazy because I wanted people to actually still have room to write in it and maybe put pictures if they want to. Some of the pages are stained kind of a green color. Some of them are more of like a tea stain color. I did a lot of stitching on some of the pages. Most of the tags I got online just by Googling and going on Pinterest. So there's a bunch of vintage illustrations in here. I did use some pieces of scrapbook paper that I had in my stash that were kind of botanical or, you know, butterfly themed. A lot of the inking that you see is I used the Tim Holtz Distress ink, so it is acid free, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. There are a few pages in here that actually do have coffee or tea staining on, but really not too many, because recently I've been just kind of using different colors of fabric dyes to stain my pages, and that would definitely be acid free because it's a fabric dye. Okay, here I've just got a little paper sack with a tag inside and a Tim Holtz die cut ephemera piece, and then I've got a journaling card in here that was actually from one of the Prima collections. I think maybe Nature Garden, I think. I'm not sure. Or Fairy Bell, one of the two. And then this little pocket here, I just have a piece of scrapbook paper with some fabric stitched onto the top of that. And then this pocket here is actually a little paper sack, and I put some tags in the little tuck spots, like the bottom of the sack here, and then I left it open on the side to make a pocket there to stick another tag. And then I took a cutout from one of my paper collections and stuck that on some cheesecloth and stitched it down, and then stuck it to the top of the bag. And then you can also stick a little tag or something inside the bag itself. And a couple more pieces from the Tim Holtz ephemera pieces. And I just have those stapled down, and I'm just using this one as a little tuck spot for one of these little flash cards from one of his die cut packs. Some of these pages that are the scrapbook papers, some are from like some Recollections collections from Michaels. Some are Graphic 45 from their Botanical Tea paper pack. And I think there's some other random ones in there, maybe some from Hobby Lobby. There's another big pocket here. Yeah, like this one is from one of the Paper Studio paper packs. And then just have a little butterfly paper clip here with a little envelope that I made with the envelope punch board, but I did not seal it up in case you wanted to just open it up and write on it. And what I did is I Mod Podged a napkin on top of a piece of tracing paper and then cut the envelope with the punch board. You know, this is a little piece of a antique, well, maybe not antique, but vintage linen. I thought it looked kind of like butterfly wings, so I just sewed that into the signature. Another little die cut piece that I have stapled on there, and a little bumblebee image. And there's the other side of that linen. die cut piece. All the die cut pieces like this, I just stapled onto the page. And here is a piece of scrapbook paper that I made an envelope out of. It was one of a longer, skinnier envelope, and then I just folded it in half and stuck it in with the signature. And here is a little paper sack that I sewed an image onto and then sewed it down on the page and made a little, or I'm using this little piece of scrapbook paper for a tag inside the sack here. I can't believe in all of my stamps, I didn't have a single bumblebee stamp. I was kind of surprised. Tons of butterflies. This is a journal card from one of the Prima collections. And here's another card from Prima. And here's another little piece of scrapbook paper that I sewed some fabric down on the top of and stained it up a little bit. Just made a little side pocket. I think this is K & Company paper here. And here is another little tag that I made with a piece of scrapbook paper. And I think this is from the Fairy Bell Prima papers. And I just backed it with some tea-stained paper and a little altered paper clip here. Oops. Helps if you try to pull it off in the right direction. It's just got some different layers of ribbons and laces and some paper flowers and then a ticket on top of that. Alrighty. And that is my little bees and bees and butterflies journal. So thank you very much, you guys, for taking the time to watch. I hope you like it, and I will catch you guys next time.